I welcome Amit Malik for this podcast. Currently, he is the COO of Spectra Systems and also one of the most desired guests on this podcast because most of the time when you are doing your industry hustle and probably you're stuck with your own job and things like that, probably you forget the fact that you were once upon a time a student who used to learn a lot. And sometimes we forget the fact that we need to learn, we need to evolve as the industry evolves because industry is growing in such a fast pace. And trust me, it's not that easy to cope up with the new technology. And writing books is something which is beyond what you can really think of like after learning, right? And how to learn fast, how to be an right industry hustler, that's where we have to stand in and also understand the fact that we are still the budding engineers and we need to evolve. So I'm here with Amit Malik, telling myself and teaching how to be the right industrial ready engineer. Like you have to be industry ready. So somehow on my journey to learn how to be an industry ready engineer, I'll be doing podcasts with great folks like Amit sir. And also there are a lot of people who will be coming up here. And I'm very honored to have Amit sir on this podcast. Thank you so much for giving me this podcast, sir. Means a lot.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Vishwas, for the warm welcome, and really excited to be here. I know it's a pleasure being here to talk with students. And once obviously I was a student 10 years back, and a lot has changed since I was a student. And the way studies happen today, we had to go to the college. Now everything is online. So a lot of things have changed. Really excited to share what I've learned in these 10 years, and I hope everyone finds it useful.
Yeah, I just want to understand the fact that, when we join as a fresher, we have this goal of being the next CEO of some big company. But it gets shattered because industry is so complex and these CEOs are probably working there for like 20 years or 30 years in the same industry and they know how the industry has evolved also. Sir, I just want to understand, like, we have all been the freshers in the industry. Right now, we have to get in as a fresher and we have to understand this industry. But I want to know what's the reality between this reality and the dreams that we get in through, because not everybody will have the same experience, right? I just want to know what's the reality in the industry. Like, what is that about being an fresher or being an industry ready engineer today?
Okay. So, if I understand your question right, how do we, start and get to a CEO, CTO positions in the industry, right? Because there are only like limited CXOs in the market. Like we don't have unlimited CXOs. Not everyone can be CXO. So, what do you do different to become CXO? So one of the easiest solution is to start your own company and become whatever you want. But that's not really the best way for every single person. It may work for some, but it may not work for everyone. So when it comes to starting with in the industry, it is really important to get the right start. And what I'm going to say in next few minutes, I don't mean to demoralize, but in the industry, as of now, there are engineers who are doing great product management, great stuff within 5 years of experience. And there are people who are still doing the entry level stuff even after 15 years of experience. So there are both, type of crowd in the industry, and I'm not like undermining any of them. Like everyone, obviously, people do what works best for them. Like I do what works best for me. Like I'm good with, for example, writing book. I could write book, but I'm not good with let's say video recording. So I'm not doing much of that. So obviously it's up to everyone's, what they are into, but getting that right start is so crucial that if you are not able to get to that right start in this first 6-7 years of your experience, then it becomes very difficult to make a bigger switch, not just from a technological region, but also the way life progresses. We start at 22, 23, sometime you could do at 21, but that's like a general age to start your career. And after like 7-8 years of experience, then at least in India here, you start thinking about getting married, you start thinking about having kids, and those are realities of life. We cannot escape them. Like I can talk big things that, hey, if you are dedicated, you can do all that. Yes, you can. But like as the life progresses, those things also will come into the picture. And based on my experience, I've seen around me, when those things happens, when you get married, when you have kids, when you are like 30, 35, your career takes like sort of a second priority, right? We think that, yeah, now I'm stabilized, now I'm good, I think I'm good with what I'm doing. Like you start feeling content that, hey, I'm satisfied, I've done good, I'm making good money, I'm helping my family, and I'm living a decent lifestyle, and I'm satisfied. That thing comes, and that is where the difference comes in. That, hey, you if you don't do that, you could get to that CXOs and that VP and directors and head and those positions. But if you, after a few years in your career, if you settle down, then things becomes difficult. So two things. One, never settle down. Yes, there will be things in your life which will make it a second priority, and that is okay, it is expected. You should do that. Work life balance, family, everything is important. But it is very, very important to bounce back. It is very, very important to maintain that well balance, that, hey, I'm done with 10 years of experience, I've done great stuff, now let me do my family. Good, do it. But don't just leave the career behind. Take it back after a year. Let's say if you need to slow down for a year, it's okay to slow down, it's okay to take breaks, but coming back is important. So the one who comes back becomes CXOs. The one who gets into the zone that, my life is set now, I'm having a decent lifestyle, and then like that's where the things stops.
Yeah. But I want to understand this
So
fact
bouncing
of,
back.
yeah, it's always about bouncing back and just building the new package of knowledge and gyan. Like you need to understand, okay, I'm not the same person as I am yesterday. Today, I have to just build myself as a new person. That's what it is. But sometimes you have seen the industry which evolves like very rapidly. Probably there is probably there can be an alternative to all the technologies that we are working. Probably there can be a no code solution for everything, just like how we have this no code ML solution and things like that. So I want to know how to
Yeah.
adapt as quick as possible, because you have seen this evolution of technologies over the course of time, how people are coming up with. So how to evolve by learning the new trend in the industry.
Yes, that is a very valid point. So how do we make sure we are staying relevant? Okay, how do we make sure we are ahead of the curve and we are getting ready for the future? And that is important. Like in IT, like 5 years is a very, very long time. Okay, within 5 years, things changes rapidly. Like we are in 2021 now. Cloud is a reality today. Cloud is not a future anymore. It is the reality. But that was not the case 6, 7 years before. 6, 7 years before, people were still thinking about, oh, cloud, maybe it will work, maybe it will go down, maybe it will grow. But within like 5, 6, 7 years, things changed completely. Now cloud is the reality, and everyone knows that cloud is here to stay and will stay here for a long, long time. So with that fast-paced industry, it becomes very important for us to stay updated in that industry. Otherwise, in 5 years, you will become irrelevant and you will keep on doing that mediocre job. Okay, that's the reality. There are people who did not, evolve to cloud, and who kept on, doing what they were doing before, and they are still doing what they were doing before. So it is important to watch what is happening in the industry, and that only have see. I can tell you 10 things. Follow blogs, follow podcasts, like look for the top influencers on LinkedIn around technology industry. Follow, for example, the Hustler. There are like tons of resources which keeps you updated around all these things. Join community events, try. But there is one thing which is core to all of this. You have to have a curiosity for the technology. You have to be curious. If I'm doing something, if I'm working on Windows, Microsoft announced Windows 11 recently, and it is available in beta. I know people who are already running it as their primary OS. They removed Windows 10, they installed Windows 11, which is still in beta, which means it might break anytime. Things may not work and so on. But they went ahead and did it already. Why? Because they were curious to see what is happening. They were curious to see what's new in this. So you have to either have that curiosity already, and if you don't, you need to develop that. Okay. We all say, passion and interest and all those things, which are very true, but they can be developed. If I'm not passionate about something today, I can be passionate about those tomorrow. So the point to take away home is, if you think you don't like coding, that doesn't mean you will never like coding. If you really try it out, you can develop that interest and you can generate that curiosity. And within, like, if you do that consistently, consistency is the key. If you do that consistently, you will automatically develop that curiosity, and that curiosity will take you very, very long way, because that curiosity will make you, tune into the videos which are coming from different, industry leaders like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Facebook, all of that. You will see what they are doing, like Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Amazon. These guys do big developer conference events all around the year. Every month there is a big developer conference happening. So if you have that curiosity, you would want to see what these guys are doing. And when you go and attend what these guys are doing, when you learn, you will have more interest on what you can do. So yes, the answer is develop the curiosity and keep following that curiosity consistently. Consistency is another key. Just don't do it once and leave it. You have to keep on doing it ever and ever again throughout your career. Unfortunately or unfortunately, IT is an industry where you will have to be a lifetime learner. So, because you might be getting excited that, hey, I'm gonna done with my college now. I don't have to study anymore. I'm done with my exams. No, reality check. You will have to learn all your life. Yeah, there may not be exams, but there will be real world exams.
That's true. That's true. Because sometimes, when I think of doing some new project, I probably have to attend a new conference in order to get that knowledge of, like, okay, this is what is happening behind the hood of that technology. And sometimes they give a lot of insights in such a way that you yourself get a new idea from that conference. Like last time build was happening, Cosmos DB was out, and I was thinking, like, why didn't I go for the free tier? I just went for the pay as you go model. And that free tier can be deployed on any of the servers. You can try on an IoT device, get as much of data and things like that. So I just want to know, like, learning is not that easy because it has its own price today. Like, to some extent, there is a price attached to it. So I want to know how to break this barrier of reasons and start learning. Of course, curiosity is something which is great, but like, there are some opportunities which can be done through an open source software also. Like, a good GitHub profile can really fetch you an amazing job. But I want to understand this fact of learning without any reason. We need to not have to give any reason, but we need to learn. How to learn? That's my question.
So if I understood right, essentially, there could be tons of hurdles when you start learning any new technology. One of the major hurdle is financials. You may not have, financial support available to purchase the required resources, be it any course, be it any cloud accounts, be it anything. That is definitely one of the major hurdle, like not having the right resources. And fortunately, in today's industry, all of these learning resources which you can find, there are obviously paid premium resources. Okay, there are tons of courses on Coursera which are amazing. There are tons of courses on Udacity, like they have got tons of nano degrees and stuff which are amazing, but they are costly. They are they are not non-profit companies. They are for-profit companies. They are there to make money. But at the same time, there are more than enough resources available which are for free. I can talk about some examples. Microsoft Learn. Microsoft Learn is fully free, and it includes guided learning path, which includes videos, text, quiz, and most importantly, even the hands-on labs. So you do not even need to sign up for a Azure trial. You could get like free hands-on lab from Microsoft Learn itself. So just go to Microsoft Learn. There are like 7, 8 paths over there: developer, administrator, DevOps, security, and so on. Choose the path relevant to you and start doing those courses fully free of cost. As you go through that, you will also get cloud accounts from Microsoft free of cost, zero cost cloud accounts, and which you can use in the lab. That is basically just one example. Similarly, there are so many other resources. I'll give an example. edX has so many free courses which you can go and enroll for free. Then Pluralsight has a lot of free Microsoft cloud related courses which you can do for free. So even Udemy also comes with offers regularly for free. So the first thing, if you think that I don't have resources available, then you are looking in the wrong places. There are resources, and we could compile those links and share with everyone, obviously. But there are resources. All you need is a good laptop and a good internet connection, and then sky is the limit. Then, obviously, there is a thing. If it is free, it's not good, right? If it's free, then it's not really, it's not like typically like when we pay for something, we have a intuition inside us that, hey, I've paid for this, I need to get something worth my money, otherwise my money will be wasted. So a lot of time when there are free things, resources, people think that, okay, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it later on. But if they go for a paid resources, then they will be sort of forced to learn them. So it's an individual to individual thing. If you if you belong to the second category, where in order to learn you have to pay to yourself, pay to your friend, but use these free resources once at least. Okay, use these free resources, it will be super helpful. And like you mentioned, and all these industry conferences are super helpful. And talking about Microsoft, because I'm an ex-Microsoft, I've been working with Microsoft technologies for a long time. Microsoft also does few events every month, where if you attend the event properly, you will even get an exam voucher for free. Typically, the exam voucher costs about like Indian rupees, like 6,000 or so. Yeah, 6,000, 7,000, somewhere around that. But if you like that, Microsoft does events every month, multiple events. Register in advance, attend those events fully. They will give you free vouchers, even for the exams, to get your exams cleared. So there, I mean, you have to leave those limitations of, I have never done coding, I have never done these things, and you have to start doing. And, it's that common thing, like, if you do something for 21 days, it's an habit. The same thing is applicable here as well. If you do it consistently, you will develop that interest and you will find more and more resources. And GitHub is I would say, one of the best thing that has happened to the software development industry and software developers in general. Do build a good GitHub profile. Find out projects you like, open source projects. Even if you don't have something great to contribute to them, even if you don't have good code to contribute, code is not the only open source contribution. There are documentations, there are references, there are tests, there are examples. So if you find yourself struggling in directly contributing to open source project with code, start with some of these other things. And as you start contributing in that, you will see more and more contribution options in coding as well, and you will go forward. And you said very rightly, a great LinkedIn plus GitHub. LinkedIn is also important. Great LinkedIn plus GitHub profile can land you an amazing job, which can get you to CXOs very fast.
Yeah, you have done this industry hustle. It's not like it's an 1 day or a 2 day hustle that you just wrote a book or something. It's not about it, because in order to understand what is this cloud, exactly 5 months before I was irrelevant for the cloud concepts. I don't care because they only give me GPUs. I'm very useful for that because I'm a deep learning researcher. What do you expect more from me? And I was in that mindset. Once I joined Azure developer community, that's where I even asked you for the webinar. I think so. Yeah, I think I have asked you for a webinar. I think I'll call you for a webinar for sure. Yeah, I went there and I had a different view about the cloud because it's not about just using the GPU which is available there. Understanding the complexity behind building such kind of softwares actually give you a lot of insights actually. So I just want to ask you, like, what was your industry hustle that you did? Because not everybody can give their 100% in the industry because sometimes we get bored of doing the same job, or sometimes we might be like, salary is good, so let me just stay here, or something like that. I just want us to just go out of this comfort zone because future probably I might get addicted to that comfort zone and I don't want to leave that. So I just want your experience in the industry. How did it happen? Like, how was your first job and how did you actually evolve as an engineer? That's my question.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my career with Wipro. And Wipro, as we all know, Wipro, TCS, Infosys, HCL, Tech Mahindra, these are some of the top Indian service-based company in India. So, and in students, at least these, like 10 years back, we didn't know what is service-based company and what is product-based company and what's the difference. We knew that there are some differences, but what exactly is the difference? What you get in? Like, we didn't know that. We did not have that sort of community reach, and even like internet was not that common like 10 12 years back. I mean, it was there, like, but it was not as reachable as it is today. Like, I remember, like, when I was in college, we used to buy that night pack for the data because in the daytime the mobile data was too expensive. But so they had launched like a night pack where you would get some GB of data from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. and outside that time you can't use it. So and today, like, data is freely available, like literally freely available. So we did not have that much knowledge, that much reach available. So started with Wipro, and I was fortunate to get into the one of the best teams inside Wipro. So I was part of system integration team, which was responsible for doing stuff, experimenting new things together and integrating them, and then delivering them. I was not in, and there is like, we were only like 2,000 people in the entire India, whereas when we talk about Wipro, there are like more than 150,000 people. So out of that, it was a pretty small team. Like, typically team size, like division size in Wipro are like 10,000 people, 20,000 people. Comparative to that, our team was very small, and our team did not make a lot of money too because our projects would take forever because we were doing new stuff, we were implementing stuff, we were not maintaining stuff. So one of the most revenue generating things for all these service-based companies, maintenance. There is something which is already working, you just keep it running. That's it. Your job is to keep it running and do minor changes as the things evolve. That is called the managed IT, like managed IT services, where any application, any infrastructure, hardware, software, whatever it is, it's already established, it's already good. You just have to keep it running. So there is not much learning in those areas. The learning is where you are trying new stuff. And I was fortunate to be in that team where we were trying new stuff, where we were building new things. And the time it was built, like it was ready, then we would step away. Someone else will keep it running. Like that was sort of the arrangement. And in that, I was there for 5 years, and 5 years is a long time. 5 years is a really, really long time. And why I was there for 5 years? The kind of projects I worked on were phenomenal. I have so many examples. I'm just still thinking which example should I give. So I'll give you the one example which is very close to my heart. So there's a country called Myanmar, Burma, our neighbor. We share like a good area of border with them, but unfortunately, people don't know. If you ask Myanmar, they will say what? Not all, obviously, but some at least. And it was back in 2013. So Myanmar was not a democracy until 2011. They were like a military-ruled country. and they are again a military ruled country. Unfortunately, like their military took over again. So in 2011, they became a democracy, and until then, they only had one telecom company in the entire country, controlled by government. And this, in order to buy a SIM, you have to pay 3,000 US dollars, 2 lakhs rupees approximate. It was that expensive. So they had like a telecom company, but it was only for the top military or top, top government officials and so on. I'm talking a lot of controversial stuff. So at that time, the country became open to the world, and they invited, hey, come and build telecom for us. And two companies, Telenor and Ooredoo, got the contract to build telecom in Myanmar. Essentially, it was told that those two projects were the last greenfield telecom project in the world. Otherwise, everywhere else, the telecom is already established. And I got a chance to go to Myanmar for an year and build telecom for Telenor. Telenor was our customer. So over there, like I did not have a SIM. I did not have a mobile phone. It was either hotel Wi-Fi, office Wi-Fi. If somewhere in the middle, there's no reach. So that's just one project that I did over there, where I designed the entire solution, starting from the data center to, and I was there for like 8-9 months until they went live. I was there testing a lot of things, on the mobile phones. Their new SIMs we got. We were after 6 months we got the SIMs, and we were very excited that okay, now we can go out easily and we can talk to each other. Otherwise, if you are outside hotel or office, there's no reach. And there were like tons of exciting experiences. So similarly, I work for Jammu and Kashmir government. I worked for modernizing the electricity board for Jammu and Kashmir government. I even worked for Nasik Kumbh Mela. Like there were like tons of CCTV cameras over there, and I built the storage solution where all the recordings will get processed and all of that. So Wipro gave me those opportunity to do those advanced stuff, and like really like I met Amar Abdullah, for example, who was the CM of Jammu and Kashmir at that time. And so I was doing all these wonderful things for 5 years, and I would say, very privileged as well. I was superly highly paid comparative to Wipro standards and the general industry standard. I was highly paid. I had tons of great stuff. I used to get like a lot of respect from all across the country, because I used to work on all, like I was not limited to like a region. I was working all across the country, and I had a lot of on-site opportunities in ahead of me. Like I had committed opportunity that you could go to West, you could go to Middle East, wherever, what do you want? And at that time, like I got the idea to write a book. And when I got that idea, and in fact, like one of my friend, actually, or senior, wrote a book, and I looked up to him, and I was like, yeah, I would also want to do that. I think I can do it. There was a lot of self-doubt for multiple months. And Karan Singh, he currently works at Red Hat in Ireland. So he helped me, give that confidence that, hey, dude, it's okay. If you fail, like it's fine, just do it. So I went ahead and wrote a book on a technology I was not even like, which I worked only in my labs. There were no real projects for that. I did all that in the labs, and it was a Microsoft technology. I got that opportunity to write a book on that because of a lot of experiments I had done in that area. Basically, my book was published back in December 2015, and I had left Wipro by March 2016. Within 3 months of publishing, I had left Wipro. So it took at least 8 months for the book to finish. So it was a very no weekends for 8 months. I'll just leave it there. No weekends for 8 months, and that's how it was launched, because I was still doing like a full-time job, right? So no weekends for 8 months. I did that, and after that, as soon as the book got released, Microsoft called me up and say, "Dude, what do you want to do?" And I had opportunities from Microsoft previously as well, like 2013, in some roles which I did not wanted to go in. Like I had opportunity from Microsoft in 2013, but I choose to pass that at that time. But when I published that book, it was like, hey, tell us what you want. And within the 10 days of first call, I had the offer letter. And let me tell you from experience, it doesn't work this way. It takes months for that whole process. There are 5, 6 interviews. It takes time. If you are getting it in a month, that is the best case scenario. And I had it in 10 days. And then 2 months, I basically literally fought with many big people at Wipro, general manager, VP, director, very nice people. Like obviously they were thinking good for me only, that, hey, you should stay. I traveled to Bangalore multiple times. I was staying in Delhi at that time. That, hey, stay here. We are giving you everything. What do you want? We are giving you money. We are giving you a role. You are doing good stuff. Why do you want to leave? But I took that decision to leave because I wanted to come out of my comfort zone. Wipro was my comfort zone after 5 years. I was doing interesting stuff. I was liking my work. I was liking how everything was operating. I was full set, no challenges. The only challenges I used to have were in my own lab, no challenges in the work. And so after 5 years, I took that call that, hey, I have to move on. I have to be in a challenging position. I joined Microsoft, and I joined Microsoft, and I left Microsoft within 8 months. So yeah, that's what happened. Like, so why I left in 8 months? Because after joining Microsoft, I realized, okay, this is great. This is amazing culture, best life, play a lot of pool, have great food, and travel a lot. Okay, travel a lot. Stay in 5-star hotels. I had a wonderful 7, 8 months at Microsoft, but then I had an opportunity to start a company for fresh in India, and the company that I currently work at, Spectra Systems. So the founder and CEO of the company is from Seattle. So he started the company in Seattle, and then he wanted to build the team in India. And the same book which got me Microsoft, the same book also got me in contact with him through LinkedIn. So the point to take here is we got to market ourselves. If you market yourself, if you do good stuff and market yourself, you will get the opportunity. People will recognize that, yes, you have something, and they will call you up, they will message you, and you will have opportunities.
Yeah.
So I had that opportunity like through the same book, and we connected over LinkedIn. Seriously, it was all LinkedIn, nothing else. I had never worked with the guy before. I had not known him before, nothing else. He reached out to me over LinkedIn. We met for a quick breakfast when he was in India, and then we started from there. We hired like 8 freshers, and we started the company. And today, and it is all bootstrapped. So the Manish basically invested all of his savings in the company. I was still exploring. So I didn't have any financial challenges. So he invested all his savings and to start the company. And today, we are I'm glad to say that we are 5 years into business, 150 plus strength, a lot of people from Microsoft. Microsoft is one of our biggest customers. So Microsoft is giving us business, and we are fully bootstrapped, fully profitable for 4 years. I'm really glad to share, all of that. So essentially, in all these things, I had a very stable job, interesting job, good financials. Then I got another stable and good financial, and most importantly, my 8 months at Microsoft had been the easiest time of my career ever. So I was having so much fun over there. It was so easy. It was so wonderfully managed, and the culture was so great that we did not feel any pressure at all. So, and I just decided to leave that. And obviously, startup is not easy. Starting from finding the office to managing everything like you had to do on your own. The startups are not easy. I basically we started in Kerala initially, then we moved to Bangalore, and we found an office in Bangalore, did a lot of stuff, did a lot of hiring. It was very difficult to convince people to join when we were small in the beginning, that why should they join us. So I literally, many people, many external senior folks who joined us from Microsoft, I made them join us by saying, hey, I'm committing you 1 year salary from my side, even if the company shut down. And you can take this on the paper. So we had to do that convincing for people to join in. And yeah, but at the end, it all worked out. So that is basically like how my life structured. And in this whole journey, I wrote 3 more books. So today, like I have 4 books I've written. One was recently released. But writing book, like I'll come to the writing book later. But to drive the points out of here, you really have to be curious and you really have to try those new stuff. You can't be doing same things every day. Okay, you cannot be doing same things every day. And the kind of projects we have in India, a lot of people in IT are doing same things every day. So you have to stand out from that. You have to be doing new things every month. If not new things, at least same things, but in a different way. Okay. Like, because a software developer is going to write code. You know, no matter what it is writing code every day. So if you look at it, it is the same thing. But what type of problem you are solving with that code, you know, how you are solving those problems, that's where the difference comes in. So do new stuff and market them. Okay.
That's true.
Selling is important. And over here, we are selling our skills. Okay. We are being paid against our skills and time. So you need to be able to sell and market yourself. You need to be able to sell and market your skills. And if you are able to do that, you will have an opportunity to grow fast. See, talented people will find their way. There is no, like, sooner or later, they will find their way. This selling and marketing will help you find them sooner. That's basically the difference. So key takeaway, obviously, don't keep doing new stuff wherever you see, okay, you are not here to, you are not learning anything new, or you are not finding it's not challenging for you anymore. Take a step back, think what would be challenging, and change the stuff. Change companies.
That's
Yeah.
true, because most of the time we are bound to some of the points that just pops up in our head and says that, hey, this is a little bit of a comfort zone, don't live it. Or something like, okay, it's just fine, right? Everybody is also doing, like, let me just
I'm
be,
doing good.
yeah, I'm doing
I'm making
good,
good money.
fine.
I'm getting my salary on time. I have more money than I can spend. Why?
Yeah, actually, you told something on the faces of all the engineers who are lazy enough not to get their hands dirty on anything new. Because
Yeah.
sometimes that one slight move from your side can turn into a big disruption in your entire life. Like, it can really change your life as an engineer, or you can really explore some new person inside yourself. So, speaking of that, there are some opportunities in the cloud, right? Like, people have not understood the fact that there is not just cloud. There is beyond that. Like, it's something beyond what you actually see. There is a tag of some company which is like a flavor of the cloud, but everything still remains the same. The
Yeah.
underlying fundamental principle still remains the same. So I
Yeah.
would love to ask you some of those opportunities which are yet to be discovered from the people. And I think Amit will actually be sharing the screen. So if you are listening to this in an audio version, I would love to say, come back to the YouTube, just look at this timestamp and just get to know what he's sharing on the screen. So yes,
Yeah.
sir, you can.
So before I start sharing, I want to say one thing which is very important, which you brought up in the beginning, that how fundamentals are same. So being from Microsoft background, I never learned AWS. I never learned GCP. Like, when I said learn, I never went ahead and did a training or did a own purpose learning of that. But just with learning Azure today, like, I understand AWS as well, I understand GCP as well, Oracle as well. So if you learn, just pick up one cloud of your choice. You decide that. I won't say pick up Azure or AWS or GCP or Oracle. You decide that. Anyone, the other cloud platforms follow the same approach. There are same things. It's just that terminologies are different. You have to remember different names, and a little bit of UI and the way you do things are different. But at the end, it is the same thing. If you are running, like you mentioned, deep learning
Deep
stuff.
learning.
If you are running your deep learning models, at the end of the day, it will run on the same hardware. At the end of the run, it will run on the same VMs, and both AWS, Amazon, or AWS and Azure, they're running similar OS, Windows or Linux. Those are the OS in the world today. Back 10 years, 15 years back, we had Solaris, we had IBM AX, we had HP UX, but they are no longer really the case. Now everything is just Windows or Linux. So everything is still the same. It's just the way to do things and the way it's called is different. So you don't have to worry about learning Azure separately or learning AWS separately or learning GCP separately. Learn one to the core, and then others one you can quickly figure out.
Yeah, that's true.
So let me quickly share my screen, and I want to walk through this sort of experience of what all is possible in cloud. And this slide, I took from a wonderful friend of mine, Subhashish Ghosh. You can find him on LinkedIn. I also put his URL because he's the one who prepared this slide. And so over here, there are tons of career options that you can see. And what are these options? Like, what is cloud? Cloud is huge. Like a lot of time I take interviews, people say, we know AWS. And I take a step back and think, even AWS CTO will not know the entire AWS. It is too much. There is just too many things across the industries, across the technology area, across the domains that one cannot learn all, and no one is expected to learn all. Okay. The cloud jobs, we say, they are not expecting you to know all of AWS. No. There are certain areas which I've got on the deck. So it's always one of these area to start with, and then eventually you can go to higher roles such as architect or product management or program management, or even in some cases it could even be business side roles. But in order to start in cloud, it is eventually one of this area. Yeah, if you join a startup or so, you may be doing multiple of them. Like in startup, typically a developer will also do the admin stuff, because one person have to wear multiple hats. So I'll talk about some of these options and what do they do, but take a moment to think what is most interesting and exciting for you, and do that. Pick that area. Don't just go behind everything. Pick one area, pick one niche for you, master in that, market yourself in that, and then if you want, you can have one secondary area as well. The first one and the most common one, it is basically the administration of cloud. It does not require any development or coding language. Essentially, over here, you are building the cloud environments using cloud provider tools, which could be Portal, which could be command line, which could be any of these sort of interfaces. But essentially, you are configuring things to be used by developers, data scientists, or different team members. So cloud administrator is sort of preparing the base infrastructure for others to be able to do their things. Data engineering, and it is very common, and it is a very common job opening these days because of the amount of data we are generating every day. So there are tons of statistics that how the total amount of data generated in last 5 years is more than total amount of data generated ever before that. There are a lot of statistics around that. So a data engineer's job is to basically maintain pipelines of data. So from where the data is coming, cleaning that up, putting into somewhere else. Over there will be next things happening to that. There will be next things happening to that. A common example is our telephone bills or general telephone. We use mobile phones. It captures our location. It captures our, obviously the call records and stuff. all that information goes somewhere. From there, it is processed, it is cleaned, like unnecessary data is removed, and then it is sent to something else. Then it may be used by different applications. Then it is being used by invoicing application to generate our telephone bills. It is being used by analytics application so that our telecom providers can figure out how to make us upgrade to a bigger plan. That's what like data scientists do. So the data engineer maintains those things to make sure that the data is ready for further usage. And with the connected world we are living in, IoT, there is too much data being generated every day, and there are tons of opportunity in this field, very exciting field to be in. Developers build software. It's just that cloud developer means they are using cloud APIs to develop software. Like, for example, we talk about AI and all stuff. So if I want to build like a photo recognition app, rather than developing the algorithm or the science behind recognizing photo, I could just use Facebook or Microsoft's API, and I just have to send them the photo and they will give me the results. So just one example of cloud development. Cloud architect is sort of, once you are done with any of these areas like admin, engineering, development, all of that, eventually you'll get to the architect level where you are not doing stuff, but you are understanding customers' requirements and converting them into technological solutions, and which is then implemented by other people. So a cloud architect will typically meet customers. They will understand what are their pain points, what are their goals, and they will convert that into technical language and design solutions that how it should be done. And they may be having a team of developers, engineers, DevOps, and so on. The next one is AI engineers. So this is basically where you are doing your machine learning and deep learning stuff. So over here, like AI, there are like typically two types of AI. One is pre-built AI, which is done already by Microsoft or Facebook or IBM. They already figured out everything. They already did everything. We are just using it in our applications like chatbots. Microsoft has already figured out how to find the sentiments from a message. So all we have to program is that, hey, if the sentiment is angry, do this. If the sentiment is sad, do this. We are not building our logic to figure out the sentiment. So that is sort of pre-built AI, which we just use in our applications. So AI infused apps. Then there are like even advanced role where you develop those machine learning models, AI models, you train them with data sets, and you develop like new intelligence. So AI engineer or machine learning operations are basically either using the pre-built AI or they're building the new intelligence. Data scientists, we talked about it, how data engineer will get the data ready for processing, and data scientists will do the machine learning required to build the knowledge out of it. Like all these telecom companies, coming back to the same example, they take all our usage pattern and records, and they convert that into knowledge, and that knowledge goes to the business team that, hey, we should be launching a pack of 249 rupees with these many things. And if we launch that kind of package, we can tell you that 70% of users from 149 plan will upgrade to 249 plan. Like that sort of knowledge that data scientists generate and gives to the business teams. Data analyst. So data analyst and data scientist works very closely with each other. And data scientists, while they are building those models, analysts are the ones who are taking that to the business by presenting that particular knowledge for further analysis. So over here, it could be developing the data visualization reports, Power BI, Tableau. There's so many tools around that. And data analysts use a lot of those tools to figure out the final data. DevOps engineers, so sort of lives between the developer and the admin role of it. So developers are writing code. After that, that code needs to be shipped. The code needs to be released. That whole shipping, releasing thing has to be taken care of by the DevOps team. So a DevOps engineers do have a little bit of understanding of development, but they are more inclined towards the scripting and the automation part of it. That how can we build a solution where a software developer just have to check in their code and the code will automatically get processed to the production. Obviously, not just directly, but in a sustainable way. Security engineers, the more we move to cloud, the more concerns are there because the data is now being accessed over internet. Probably the data is living in someone else's data center. So a security engineers basically gate all other engineers to make sure they are doing the things right way. Because a developer may not care that much about security because they just need to get their app working. So security engineers are there to make sure that none of the roles are doing things in a way which can be vulnerable or which can increase the attack surface or which can be harmful from a security perspective. And they keep on doing the required analysis as well. They keep on doing the mock drills or vulnerability assessments or penetration testing. Like they keep on doing all those things. And in the end, there is databases and data architects. So everything in the applications lives in databases. So there could be like relational database, non-relational databases. So the people who are maintaining those databases, who are maintaining their indexes, backups, and who are doing all the recovery, and and next to that could be like how to design databases. What database solutions should we use? That is where the data or the BI architect sort of role comes into play. So if you see, there are so many things. So from a student's perspective, I would like to give advice. Don't, kill yourself on choosing one. Try out as many as you can while you have time. But in the end, at least master one and keep one secondary so that you have some skills to master yourself, to basically market yourself on that. Hey, I'm expert in cloud development. I can understand all the Microsoft Graph APIs or all the AWS APIs, and I can build applications with them. So there are like tons of options out there. I've mentioned like Azure certifications over here you can do. So these are some of the certification code. If you search in the Google, you will find them. And there are what are some of the technologies that you will be using. So like I said before, many of these certifications you can literally do for free by attending the relevant Microsoft events. So that is about like the career options in cloud you can get, and this is Azure focused, but similarly there are like similar stuff for AWS and GCP as well.
Yeah, this is what it is, knowing the right insight about where to enter and what to be done. Because sometimes we are so puzzled because there might be a course which might say some new insight about the industry and we might fall prey because you might not have that passion, but you will be forced to learn because industry wants it. That's how even sometimes we fall out and say that, okay, I just went in, but didn't work out or something. I think, and I want to just get that insight of problem statements in the industry, because a lot of the times when we see a new problem statement, it looks very new to me, but solution might be already done. Somewhere down the line, we can also think of like, can I implement the solution that I used for a previous project or a previous problem statement and things like that. So I wanted to know, how did the problem statement look like? Like, how are those form factored? Like, what was the approaches that was given from the beginning of your career? I know that's a very huge way of saying like what are all the changes happened, but you explored a lot. So I just wanted to know, how did a problem statement look like? Like, how are those approaches in your teams, and also how are the technology evolution really made an impact in all those approaches that we have today also? So that's my question.
Yeah, so there could be like many answers to that, but I'll stick to like one which I say have really transformed our industry, and that is the agility. Things are agile now. Back like 10 years back, like Windows XP came in 2000 something, Vista came in 2007. Like there were multiple years of gap before a new software version was released. Okay, so the problems were different at that time. The problems were about how do we make sure we are getting the requirements right in the first place, so that when after 3 years, when we are launching the product, our product is fit for market. Those were the problems at that time. Now, we don't wait for 3 years for new version. There are companies releasing new versions of their applications every day. There are companies who release new versions every 15 days, every month. Even like Microsoft release Windows 10, which is the OS, like Windows version every 6 months. There's a new Windows 10 version every 6 months. So that agility is basically have transformed the industry. So the problems now is not to make sure that the requirements are right. I mean, that is, I'm not saying don't figure out your requirements right. I'm just saying it's not that big of a deal as it was 15 years back. So today the problem is, how do we land fast? How do we go to the market fast? And based on that, we will iterate. We develop, like Spectra Systems is a product company. Okay. And our approach is that we don't go and develop all the features in the beginning and take months before we take it to the market. Instead, we develop like one thing. Whenever we do new solution development, we only think about what is the one problem it will solve. Just one. There could be like 10 additional enhancements to that, but we just do that one thing and take it to the customer, and then do the second thing only when customer sells it. Okay. So the problem statements about finding that one problem, finding that one thing that your product or your solution is solving for the customer, and then building on the top of that, rather than trying to do everything. Don't try to do everything. Do one thing nice and build on the top of that. And while you're talking about that, there is one more statement I would like to make. I learned it from TK Kader. So he's a SaaS guru in the market. He basically, took a lot of SaaS companies to success. And this is specifically for the entrepreneurs who are looking to start their own companies. And the thing is, don't build something if you don't know 5 people who are ready to pay for it.
That's
okay.
True.
So it is very important to make sure you have people, and these people could be companies, these people could be consumers, these people could be anyone, essentially your customers. You need to make sure you are working in partnership with your customers to develop the softwares, not in isolation. So the approach is, to me, for any problem today, is get your customers to work with you on this. Convince them for your partnership that, hey, help us in private preview of this, help us in giving us the right industry insights, and we could, like, they would use it for free at least for some time, right? You have to give something in return. No one will give you insights for free. But essentially, whatever you guys are doing, make sure that you have some people who are going to be the real customer and who can provide you insights of it, so that after 6 months you don't come to a stage of shock that, hey, this is not how I envisioned it. I envisioned it, you guys working differently, right? So those private previews are very important. That is what I would say from an approach perspective, which may not have been the case 15 years back.
Yeah. I'm lazy as hell. Because a lot of the times there might be some insights in me, but I'm not that good in putting it in a form of the words. I think you should be knowing Scott Hanselman, who is from the Microsoft. He literally preaches about.
Obviously, yes.
He literally preaches about you have to write something. Just start something.
I did get a chance to
meet him. Amazing.
I did get a chance to meet him in Orlando. I think it was 2019 in Orlando. I got a chance to meet him in Microsoft Ignite. He's a wonderful person to follow. I look up to him all the time.
Yeah, he's suffering from diabetes from a very long time. Probably throughout his life he was in diabetes, and the amount of insight that person has in him. Not leave the cloud is something which he has been doing for a while, but the way he approaches the program and everything, and he has also been preaching about writing something every single day. That means, like, I think scaling yourself is one of the talks that he gave every time. I think there are a lot of versions of it, 25, 90 minutes. Anybody can go and watch it on internet. It's free. It's free, by the way. And it's an amazing piece of content. So do consume it. And, we don't know where to start. Actually,
absolutely.
When we are starting
he has
with the
this
book.
wonderful thing. on YouTube about the computer things they did not teach you, the very fundamentals. They are amazing videos.
So I just wanted to understand like where to start, because we forget the fact that we have to start something and we have to finish it. But sometimes we start, we are not able to finish it. Even Scott Anselman preaches about saying that, okay, every time you are supposed to write something, just write down and you will be able to talk in some mediocre conference tomorrow at least. So that's what he preaches about. Write everything and things like that. So I just want to know how to start a book, because we don't know where to start and we don't know where to end, but like how to start.
I think the first and foremost point about writing is, and most importantly, if you are hesitant about writing, you need to stop worrying about the feedback. I took a lot of time to start writing things because I was afraid that I may make grammatical mistakes. I may make, stupid English language mistakes. I may do those things, and people will look at it and they will see this guy is stupid, like he don't know even English, but he's trying to tell us something else. Like, and I might even get comments and response saying that, we call like grammar Nazis. So I might get like grammar Nazis after me as well. So that's a thing that I feel, at least in India, a lot of people are afraid of, that what if we do a mistake? And I would like to tell you that it is okay to do language mistakes. English is not our first language. And since it's not our first language, we may make mistakes when we write stuff. And if you are afraid about that, just do one thing. At the end of whatever you're writing, just write a disclaimer. Please excuse me if there are any mistakes, grammatical mistakes or language mistakes. It's not my first language, and that's it. Please excuse me. Just accept that you may be doing things. What will that do? That will give you confidence that, hey, it's okay. I already told that's not my specialty. So don't look into my that areas. Yes, help me correct it. But don't just focus on that area. Instead, focus on what I'm trying to communicate. And that will give you confidence. And that will also make grammar Nazis go easy on you, because they will look at it and then they will say, okay, this guy is trying. So everyone will support you. So the first thing first, before you start writing, don't be afraid of language or grammatical items. Do not be afraid of that. Once you start writing, you will eventually improve, because the more you write, the more you will read. The more you will read, you will see the difference. How did you write that particular article or paragraph or whatever or post, and how did others do it? And you will get better every time you write a new thing. So every time your version will be better than what it was before. So stop worrying about the grammatical side of it. Do not think about that. And today, there are so many free tools available. Grammarly, I use it. And even today, I used to use Grammarly. Then Microsoft launched Microsoft Editor. Then I switched to Microsoft because I'm biased towards Microsoft. So now I use Microsoft Editor, but Microsoft Editor is also free. Grammarly also has like a free addition to it. Use these wonderful tools who can easily help you find obvious mistakes and help you fix it, but they can't do everything. Okay, there is still more to it. So write anything and everything, but stop worrying about the grammatical side. Then before you writing, there are like, every writer has a different approach. There are people who will first make bullet points and then start writing. There are people who will just write the entire thing once and then they will take a second cut at it where they will organize it properly and put the things where they should belong. So one approach may not work with everyone, but the approach that will work for all is if you put your, if you get your keyboard ready or your pen and paper ready, you will write something and then you can optimize that. So preparing bullet points is always a good idea, because then you are sure that what all things you are covering, and you are able to distribute that evenly in the article. But at the same time, uh, that's not the only way to do it. Just do it whatever the way you want, but at least write it. Don't publish your first 30 articles if you are not sure. But after writing those 30, you will have the confidence of publishing the 31st. Okay, and 30 is a very big number. I'm pretty sure most of the people get confidence by third or fourth article that, okay, let me just put it out there. And don't take the feedback to the heart. It's constructive feedback. Take it in a constructive manner. And at Microsoft, there was one thing that we were taught in every aspect of our work life, that was having a growth mindset. We need to have a growth mindset. If someone is sharing us feedback, that is helping us grow. Okay, so as long as I'm taking my feedback, I'm taking these learnings, I'm taking the realization that someone else is writing way better article than me and no one will read my articles, that is also a growth mindset, that hey, there is so much better to it and I need to work towards getting to that level. So every single thing, think of it with a growth mindset on how this can help you grow. And yeah, that's basically like writing. Stop worrying about grammar. Be a growth, keep a growth mindset for your feedback and concerns, and that reception that you get, that no one is reading your article, no one is liking your article. It's okay. People may not be reading or writing your commenting on your articles. It's okay, but you are still maintaining a portfolio for yourself which can help you get a job. Like,
Yeah.
even if you're not getting audience, it's fine, just keep writing it.
Yeah, you brought up a very nice point about like what is this industry thing all about, because sometimes we might lose our hope and we might not start at all, and something is better than nothing.
Yep.
That is for sure. I think you covered everything that a fresher requires for joining in this industry. And I think thank you so much, Amit sir. It was wonderful having you on my podcast, and thank you for throwing light on a lot of things where people might forget to throw light on and say that, okay, this is the only method that you can follow and this is the only way. And there are hundreds of ways, as Amit sir said. So guys, do check it out and don't ever give any reasons from now on. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for this podcast.
Thank you very much. It was great being here. And I really enjoyed talking, and I really enjoyed like answering the questions. I hope people find it useful. So in the end, just one thing: be curious and consistent. Consistency is the key. That's all.
That's it.